Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Apologies that we are starting a few minutes late. So welcome today to the second Rare Diseases International webinar. So my name is Eva. I know many of you. I am the Communications Manager here at EURORDIS, and I am here with Paloma, who, as you know, is Senior Manager at RDI, and Yann Le Cam, as you also know, who is an RDI Council member and, of course, CEO of EURORDIS. So I hand over to Paloma, who is going to just explain what we're going to be talking today about in this webinar. And then we will have a presentation from Yann. And after that, we will be taking your questions, of course. Please do hold your questions for now, and I will explain, as always, how you can ask your questions once the presentation is finished. So over to you, Paloma.
Hello, everyone. Like Eva said, we're here to discuss the action plan of Rare Diseases International for 2017. Thanks for coming. And we're going to concentrate on the activities that we propose to you for next year. Yann will elaborate on it. So I think, Yann, you can tell us more about each one of them.
Thank you. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning for the one who are on the other side. It's great. I understand that we are probably around 20 participants in this webinar, so that's very nice. So it's my pleasure as a member of the Council of RDI to present on behalf of that Council to you. The preparation of this action plan was based on the 3-year plan that was presented in Edinburgh and which Paloma resent you before that webinar. Second, Paloma has worked on it based on the concrete element that we can see for next year, which can materialize, for which there is opportunities, but also an urgent need, and etc. We worked on it, and then Paloma interviewed and worked through the action plan with each of the members of the council. And so what you're seeing today is the synthesis as a draft of what has been elaborated with each member of the council and the council together, as we had a conf call a few weeks ago. The purpose of that presentation, I will present for about 15 minutes, not more, so that we can take your questions and have an open discussion about it. What you will be saying today, either by asking the floor and speaking or by putting comments, will be integrated into the action plan after that. And the last step will be that on the 10th of November, we will have a meeting of the council face-to-face. So we're very happy that it's going to be face-to-face this time. And it's going to be in New York, the day before the event that is organized for the first event, in fact, of the UN NGO Committee for Rare Diseases. And then we will adopt the Action Plan 2017, the budget for the first time, 2017. So we have clarity. So your inputs today are important.
May I just check? Can you all hear okay? Are there any problems hearing? Diana, can you hear me better now?
Diana Marinello says she cannot hear.
Is anyone else having problems hearing? It may be that it's on your end, Diana. Let's just wait and see what Nicola says. We'll just check.
So
okay, Nicola says the sound is okay. So Diana, I'm wondering if perhaps it's from your end. Great, Brenda. Okay, thanks, Brenda. And just another request, if I may, before Yann starts presenting. If when you entered the webinar, you entered your name without giving your organisation name, would you mind just chatting us your organisation name so that we know? I mean, we know most of you already, but just in case there's somebody that we don't know, we'd just love to know exactly who you are and which organisation you're from, if you could, please. Thank you. You can just enter it in the chat box on the left there, so we have the list. Okay, over to you, Yann.
Super. Thank you, Eva. And please, Paloma, you stop me at any point if you want to try.
Yes.
So here you have the 5 strategic priorities which you're familiar with, because that's what was discussed with you in Madrid and then finalized and presented in Edinburgh as a base. So it's not rocket science, but that's what we came with in order to give us a clear line of action. So the first is that we want all together over the years, so it's not for next year, it's over the years, build a legitimate global RD Patient Alliance to be the voice on behalf of people living with rare diseases around the world. So that's membership, that's really the base of the legitimacy. And the second is to build capacities of members and patient advocates. So that's everything around networking, learning from each other, exchanges, trainings, things of that type. The third and the fourth is about advocacy. The difference is that the third, the pink square, is advocate for rare disease to elevate the cause of rare disease, to make it an international public health priority at the United Nations, in different programs and bodies, WHO, etc. And also to promote it to all stakeholders so that, based on our declaration, so that there is an understanding that this is priority, and also to raise awareness through the Rare Disease Day and other awareness activities. The number four is advocacy on specific topics, as we will see, like research, like diagnosed if we want to do that, or access to medicines, national strategies, or specific topics. Sorry, I just need to drink a little bit of something. And the fifth strategic orientation is to strengthen RDI as a well-governed and sustainable organization, which, if we don't have that in place well, obviously we may have difficulties to sustain the organization, and that would be our main reason for potential failure. So one is build the legitimacy, build the base to legitimately speak on behalf of patients. Two, enhance our own capacities, mutual support, and networking. Three, advocates, and four, mutual governance. So I move now to the actual program, and now I'm focusing really on 2017. So what you see in gray or gray-blue is the title of the chapter for the 3 years, as you saw in Edinburgh. In red is what we propose to achieve in 2017, so next year. Currently, we have 38 members. The objective will be to increase the number of members with 20 more next year, with an overall target by May 2018 to have 70 members. Keep in mind that the overall potential target of national alliances and international federations is around 80 to 100 patient groups. So it's quite ambitious, in fact, to try to achieve 70. Second is to focus in this recruitment where we see that it's important to recruit these members. So some countries that it's important to have some diseases which have well-established federations. Obviously, we would like them to join, and even to say under which condition they would join to help us evolve, but to have them joining. So there is new members that have joined recently with robust experience, like the World Federation of Hemophilia, or the
International Niemann-Pick Disease Alliance.
Niemann-Pick, thank you. There is applications of national organizations from Russia and Iran, which are being assessed. And there is upcoming applications from Osteogenesis imperfecta and other. It's important to put in place the tools for communication between us. Hence, for next year, Paloma proposed to use much more the Reconnect online communities where we can share information and we can easily discuss 2 by 2 or per subgroups. And so there is a tool now that has been developed by the team of Reconnect, which enables for this private business conversation between us. Organization of webinars for members and potential members, and obviously the annual meeting. So let me explain the proposal for the annual meeting, because we would like to have your feedback on that. What we're trying not to do is to do it again in conjunction with the membership of EURORDIS. We did that in Madrid, because we needed to start somewhere. We did it again in Edinburgh at the time of the European Conference for Rare Diseases. what the Council of RDI is proposing is to say, when there is the European Conference on Rare Disease, maybe we should still do the RDI annual meeting in conjunction with it, because then it's an opportunity to do both for you. But in the years between, like in 2017, to do it elsewhere, either elsewhere in the world where there is an opportunity or elsewhere where there is something happening. And the proposal of the Council is to do it in Barcelona in June 2017, because this is where EURORDIS is organizing the summer school. So then we will work in securing funding for fellowships, so that maybe 15 fellows could attend the summer school in English the same week. And for the first year, there is FEDER, the National Alliance in Spain, together with the Catalonian Platform of Rare Disease, together with ALIBER, which covers all Latin and Central America and also Portugal and Spain, are organizing the first summer school in Spanish. So there will be a summer school in English, summer school in Spanish, with maybe another 5 or 10 fellows. We need to check that. But then there will be an opportunity for you to attend the summer school if you want and be part of the RDI meeting. So that's the proposal. So if we can have feedback from you on that, if you think it's good, or if we should look for other options. Then representation of RDI in some conferences, like the ICORD, which will take place in China next year. It's going on now this week in South Africa for 2016, but next year will be China, and also for the conference of ALIBER.
So, apologies, we seem to be having a few connection problems, but we are testing and it seems to be working okay from our side. So we're not sure if it might be your internet connections, but I believe some people are able to hear okay. So we do think it's working okay right now.
You need to type it, because if they don't hear me, they don't hear you neither, even if you shout. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, whoever has a problem, still send us a chat, please.
Okay, so now continuing with the legitimacy. Legitimacy is your membership, but it's also, you remember what I call the ecosystem in Edinburgh and Madrid, to say, okay, how do we partner with actors in the field, like ICORD, like EURORDIS, like, okay, so you understand me. So that slide presents that. For the moment, we have established a partnership with ICORD. That's done. We're collaborating on that first conference this year. Yes. We'll increase even the collaboration for next year in China, and want to support each other as much as possible and do good work, and bring in the program of the ICORD conference, sessions that are more developed with RDI around the topics that we care for, and bring more participants. So that's a key element. We have signed also the partnership with the Black Swan Foundation, which is supporting RDI and partnering on research. So the working group on research, the Rare Disease Day on research, the development of policy paper or priorities on research, all that is around that partnership, supported by that partnership. And I'll develop that more in a moment, but you understand the partnership part. And also IFPMA, so the International Federation of Pharmaceuticals, now has created in 2016, as we hoped, a working group on rare diseases, where there is 12 companies which are members, plus Pharma US, so the Association for Pharma in the US. Some more companies may join. We're currently discussing and collaborating on a 3-year plan, where they will have their own activities where we're not directly interested, and some where we would be interested, like development of a better environment in some regions or countries, working together on access on some key levels. So that kind of things. The new partnership that are developing is with EURORDIS. There is now an agreement at the level of the board of EURORDIS to involve representatives from Rare Disease International in a constituent of patients in the board and in the scientific activities. Also, we have started to discuss with Orphanet, where there is potential joint work to coordinate when there is development in some countries, to make sure that Orphanet, if they are developing in one country that we know, we can engage with the patient groups over there, or the policy makers. The same if it comes from us to Orphanet, but also the international codifications of diseases, human phenotypes, ontology, and the international classifications around rare diseases. These are elements where we can collaborate and try to have a common interest for. On the second main work stream is the capacity building of patient advocates. So here we're limited by the resources. So we propose to piggyback somehow to tie in events that exist, like the one organized by Alibert in general. And we propose that in Barcelona, when we have the RDI annual meeting and the summer schools, there will be significant number of patient advocates coming from Central America and Iberia, then to maybe have a satellite meeting here. We could do the same in ICORD in China, together with Durain and the full group of Pan-Asia, Pan-Pacific group, to have a satellite meeting at that moment and extend. So try to enhance what is capacities, but minimizing the expense and the travels. Still on building capacities, it's we could, if you wish so, organize at the time of the annual meeting parallel sessions for international federations only, and one for national alliances only, for instance, to discuss topics of strong common interest and specific common interest. But also within the online community of Reconnect, we can have subgroups on different elements to share best practices on communication, on development, or to develop at the national level in countries less advanced. So that could be different topics. So that's a bit fuzzy. It's not precise more than that. We're happy to listen. Exchange and training, we already mentioned summer school, so potentially in English and in Spanish. Fellowships to attend the annual meeting and other conferences. So we're making a financial efforts there, trying to secure funding to enable the fellowship. We know that it's difficult for you to pay for it. And also we have started conversation with one company, Shire, which you may know has become the biggest, in fact, company now in the world for orphan drugs since they merged with Baxalta. They acquired, in fact, Baxalta. So we have invited them, it comes from us, invited them to consider putting money aside for a program of fellowships. So they will not make the decisions themselves. There will be a small group, including some of us, to make the decisions, but that will provide funding, we have proposed, for fellowships within RDI activity, to go to conferences, to go to annual meeting, to go to trainings, but also for ICORD, for ERDXO, for others. So to have a robust program, and also with short-term exchanges, so that we could travel from one organization to another for a few days or a few weeks. That's the ambition. We don't know if they will really say yes or not, but they are seriously considering that possibility. So if you can tell us if you think that's appropriate, or if you see concerns of doing that with a company, let us know. Next is advocacy. So here, as you know, we're progressing well. Not only you have adopted the joint declaration now, which is there, and which we will continue to promote to the different key stakeholders, opinion leaders, but we're progressing well on the UN with the first event on the UN committee, and that will continue next year. What we will do is then to populate the committee next year much more, reach out to key people like the rapporteurs or high officials for the Sustainable Development Goals, for health, for development, for disability. Also, we're approaching the high-level panel on access to medicines. John Foreman was already in contact with them, so we're building on that and other contacts that we have. We want to develop the contact with WHO, and for that, that's what you see here. We're planning to, it's not confirmed yet, we're looking at the feasibility, but we're on track, let's say, to do a policy event in Geneva in February around Rare Disease Day on the topic of research and access to medicines, so that it fits with the theme of the Rare Disease Day, but also with the kind of message we want to get to the WHO.
And the high officials that we want to make aware of rare diseases. That scene, the Geneva scene.
Exactly. We think that part of that general advocacy about rare diseases includes reaching out to different new regions or different regions of the world. So to attend events or conferences either on rare disease or on health to promote the topic. So for instance, in the Middle East or in Africa, where there is really a deficit of awareness and action. So on the UN committee, maybe, sorry, I've already told you more than needed when I see that slide. But here, next year, when the committee develops, we will have to appoint several representatives of RDI. So there will be a call for expression of interest to all members of RDI to identify then who could be the potential representatives, and the council will decide based on the expression of interest. We have already applied with EURORDIS as a proxy for RDI International, but it's RDI International really applying for ECOSOC consultative status. So that's ongoing. So we're waiting for the answer that was done in June. So we hope that next year that will exist. That will be a nice recognition of RDI. And we will also, RDI with the UN committee, contribute to populate the committee itself with more different categories like country, country representative, or different stakeholders. The advocacy on specific topics for next year, we propose to focus on the following activities. The Council thinks that the most important is really to put in place the advocacy permanent committee, which means adopting terms of references and a policy on adoption of papers. So we can go back to that if you want to discuss that now. And to have a call for expression of interest in order to form this standing committee of advocacy. That's a key one because clearly that's the one that will really develop the positions of RDI. We propose to work on national plans and national strategies the following way. To start with state of the art. You know the state of the art probably, if not all of you, but most of you. The state of the art, yeah, which of 2014 here. So every year it's being published, that state of the art of rare disease in Europe. And you have several reports with reports per countries, with a report on European activities, reports on research, on orphan drugs and rare disease therapy. So there are several reports. We propose to do it at international level by starting in first 5 pilot countries with Canada, Australia, China, Russia, and Argentina, which are all ready to start. Yes. And as a group, then they will be working on developing this
state of the art beyond Europe.
Beyond Europe. So if these five countries pilot works, then we're able to scale up in the following years to cover progressively all Latin and Central America, all Asia, so progressively to go on like that. We consider that to be the base on which to work for the national strategies and national programs. Still, the French Alliance, which, as you know, has been kind of a pioneer in Europe with Denmark and UK on developing national strategies on rare diseases, is starting next year the cycle of their third national plan. So the third one for the period 2017 until 22. And they're organizing a conference in January, and they're proposing to do a plenary dedicated to national plans in the world. So we will invite some of you to participate remotely by Zoom or Skype to this event. Access to medicines, as I mentioned here, in terms of specific advocacy, we want to reach out to the high-level panel on access to medicines and to key people at the WHO. There is Susan Hill working on innovation and the issue of price and intellectual property. There is also OECD that works on doing scoping exercise on rare disease therapies and orphan drugs. So we want to liaise on these elements to be very concrete and try to involve them in the event in February around Rare Disease Day. So that's the kind of things. But beyond that, to continue work during the year. The collaboration with IFPMA I already mentioned, so I can skip. In research, here, what is urgent to do is to create a working group on research. So you have an expression of interest which has been sent to you. So if you are personally or someone in your patient group interested to join that working group on research, please do. The working group on research will be active in developing the paper on priorities for research. and that will not stay useless because that will be used toward the institutions funding research. It will be used in EURORDIS, potentially even directing some activities of EURORDIS with task forces or directing the funders, public funders in EURORDIS. So get involved, and we will. And from this working group, some of you will then be part of EURORDIS activities, either at the level of the board and constituent of patients group, or directly in the scientific activities according to the centers of interest. The awareness, I think that's pretty straightforward with what we mentioned. Some of the elements you see twice in different parts because it's at the same time a capacity building activity and advocacy activity, or that's why you see it. So now to conclude, here's how to strengthen the organization next year. There was the council election last March.
Yes.
And next year there will be already the start of renewal if we do it in June. The bylaws are adopted, but now we need to make them, will be fully adopted, sorry, in November, but they are finalized after the webinar, the last webinar with you.
Yeah, the consultation will close at the end of October.
Ah, sorry. Okay, I missed that. Okay. So it's still in consultation
with
you for final consultation.
Yes.
So please have a look at it and then hopefully adopted on the 10th of November. So now we need to make them alive and just and what we're going to be rigorous is for each standing committee, like advocacy standing committee and the working groups on research, state-of-the-art and UN strategy, to have terms of reference, expression of interest, selection, and get the work done. So if by the end of next year we already have this one committee and 3 working groups, it's already ambitious. Particularly that there will be another working group where the council will work, but also if some of you want to join, please join. I know it may not be the most fun one, but it's a needed one. It's finance and sustainability, which is key if we want to develop the activities. So that just summarized what I said at the beginning, and to say that if we create a virtuous circle between the legitimacy, then the advocacy, and that we are strengthening our internationalization and build capacities of our members, then we can hope that we're creating value to each of you. Thank you. It's open for questions now.
Actually, we have a question from Lieven Bouwens from the International Federation of Hydrocephalus. He says, we're primarily interested in the development of registries. Can this be part of the advocate and raise awareness about the need to coordinate research? So I think he's trying to say that this should be a key theme for the working group on research.
Absolutely. Lieven, that's me. I can only answer for me on that, but is that, yes, I will fully agree with you. Registries are central to any generation of new knowledge on our diseases. It's often the starting point to do the natural history study. It's also the place where to start to know the key features about the disease, about the practice of care, obviously, but also the diversity of phenotypes and etc. So it's key. It's key for any therapy development and long-term follow-up. And it's clearly an excellent way to collaborate internationally, as we know from experience for some of the registries. So yes, I think that should be part of the working group research, should be part of the recommendation of the working group. For instance, I can say that in the conversation at EURORDIS, I have already proposed that, for instance, we create a task force specifically on natural history studies. So it could be that also, or it could be, no, it's not the same as registries or cohorts, but so you could. So yes, working group research, and it can be a team. Absolutely, I'm sure that other members will be completely with you on that level.
There's Dooms Mark. I think he's from World Federation of Hemophilia. Please write the name of your organization when you send us your chat, so we know exactly what organization you're representing. He says legal dispensing of orphan drugs is done worldwide by pharmacists. Please take them in.
Yes, so if I understand you correctly, you're suggesting that in terms of partnership, we should also think about the pharmacist, the hospital pharmacist. Um, the I have to recognize that I'm not educated enough to know how they are organized internationally. I know they are well organized in the US and in Europe. There is a federation of hospital pharmacists. So maybe there is one at international level. So it's a good point. Maybe we should consider reaching out to them because they play maybe a key role. So yes, we can put that on the radar. We could also consider the pediatricians. Somewhat playing that role. Can we look at there was a question before?
Yeah, we have a few questions from earlier. And just to mention that if anybody would like to ask a question via microphone, you can do as well. So you just have to click the microphone icon that's at the bar at the top of the screen to make it green. And then you should be able to ask a question if you already have a microphone. So yeah, we had a question earlier from Renata who was asking how are rare diseases, how are RDI collaborating with Vision 2020, the global initiative for the elimination of avoidable blindness, a joint program with WHO and the International Agency for the Prevention of Blindness, and what actions will be taken in order to gain better understanding between various organisations?
I don't know. No, we don't have contact. That I can say. We don't have contact. So from your message, in fact, I think we are learning.
She should be part of the working group.
That's a way to answer from Paloma. You can see that she's very focused on. If I may, but that's a personal reaction. But the way I react to your question is the following: is that I think there will be different topics which may be of interest to several members of RDI, but not to all. So I think we need to structure that dialogue and see how RDI can add power to your action. But obviously RDI as such is not able to take action on this topic. So what we could do is on the platform of Reconnect, for instance, then to have a subgroup on vision, so that there is a dialogue between the patient groups there, which could also be connected beyond that to any patient groups on vision that we have on the platform and to online communities. That then will enable maybe to disseminate information but to get feedback. And on your side, Renata, if there is things that where you say it would be good to have that position that you're developing, that should be signed also by RDI, this is where we can consult all members and all members supporting you. So, and what I suggest is that maybe after this webinar, Paloma and Renata, you may be in contact together to discuss that more, so that we capture that well.
Absolutely.
Next.
There was a question earlier as well, just to repeat and expand on that Shire capacity building program that you mentioned. So just is there anything that can be shared with the participants on that at this stage?
Yes, someone wanted to have a link to the program, but I think she didn't understand that the program doesn't exist yet. It's something that is in discussion.
Okay. Okay, so yes, so just to make that clear, the program with Shire that is mentioned here in the Action Plan 2017 is in fact just to share with you that we are trying to create such program. It doesn't exist yet. So for the moment, there is nothing. There is not even, so there is no link, no website link or whatsoever. We have submitted a very preliminary proposal to Shire, and we will further discuss with the Council of RDI to make sure that we are comfortable in moving forward to one company like that. But the base of the discussion with Shire is that it's funded by Shire, it's visibility for Shire, good corporate social responsibility, I would say, for them as a leader of that sector. But the program, the processing of the program, and the decisions will not be made by Shire alone. They will participate, but it will be made by the community, so by some of us. You have a question from?
What about Nicola? We didn't take that one on.
Yeah, Nicola. So Nicola, hi Nicola. So the new bill for access to medicines is due in the UK Parliament in December. So do you see this as being a good opportunity for improving access to medicines? That perhaps fits more with the webinar that we did last
Yes,
week. Yeah, on access. So Nicola, I will send you a link. I'm not sure if you participated because I wasn't there, but I will send you a link to the webinar that we did last week because I think your question might be more relevant.
Which is on access to medicines, but focused on Europe.
Yes. And then our colleague Jean-Louis would be the best person, I think, to answer.
Thank you, Nicola, for the question.
Luciana is from the Argentinian National Alliance.
Okay, so Luciana, since LATAM is necessary to differentiate the prevalence of diseases, being that in this region they are not the same as in Europe or the US, hence the need to promote the records in the region to generate the list of rare diseases LATAM and would need to do so in collaboration with RDI and Orphanet. So that's moving forward that collaboration with Orphanet that you both mentioned.
I think you're raising a very important point, Luciana, where I agree with you completely that this is where RDI can help make a difference to have a communication on rare diseases. So we have a declaration, and we have some elements not adopted but developed, including on prevalence. There is questions also from Malaysia on prevalence, because the government is revising their policy. At the moment, prevalence is 1 in 4,000, and some advisors to the governments are considering to move to 1 in 12,000. Like Australia. So that would not be good, obviously. So there is two questions in your question, if I may, Luciana. One question is the definition of the prevalence of what is a rare disease, which we know varies. In China is not the same as Russia, is not the same as EU or as US. Australia is different too. So there is differences. So we need to identify these different definitions and try to come up with a range of definitions so that we try to converge. It doesn't have to be the same in all parts of the world, obviously, because the political context, economic context are different. Population size of the country are different too. So there might be good reasons to have different criteria, but still to try to converge. There is a second question in your question, more specific, which is the list of diseases that are rare or more prevalent, which obviously varies from region to another according to the public health and the health situation. So yes, that could be a good collaboration, and maybe that's a point that we could take into the advocacy part about rare disease in general, also in the third work stream. Thank you, Luciana.
So Renata, we have, thank you for another comment. So the Prescription Drug User Fee Act comes up for its 5-year reauthorization by the US Congress next year. Negotiations are already going on. So the question is, are there any subjects being discussed between RDI and NORD in relation to the rare disease patients?
Perfect. You know, Renata, thank you, Renata, for this suggestion also. I think what we could do then is to put that in the action plan, that specifically on access to medicine, that could be worked on with NORD on the revision of PDUFA and with EURORDIS on the actions on access to medicines, so that there is that link between what is being done in one big market, let's say the two market driving investment in the development of rare disease therapies, so that we see provisions in the legislation in the US and Europe that could be supportive for the rest of the world. That's perfect. Thank you. That's fantastic. We should have thought of it before doing it that way. So thank you, Renata.
Thank you. Great comments.
Yeah.
Would anybody like to ask a question via microphone? Or any more questions by chat as well, if there are any more questions? Yes, John Mark's been chatting.
It is, from on her side.
Yeah, sorry.
And Nicola sent us her blog where she explains her the scleroderma global position.
Okay.
So I would encourage her to put that also on the online discussion group. Reconnect.
Very good. Very good. Do you have any more comments? I'd like to hear from all of you. First, thank you for this wonderful comments, suggestions, information you're bringing. it really shows, from my point of view, the value of these webinars. It works. That's great. And could I have a general feedback from you online? If you think that the action plan overall for 2017, you think that's going in the right direction, or you have immediately a comment that says we should focus more on that part or on that part of the... So any general comment would be welcome.
While people are typing, and perhaps I can ask, if somebody does want to get involved with one of the working groups, we'll be sending a follow-up email to the webinar, so you'll be able to reply to Paloma in that email if you are interested in getting involved, right?
Yes. Please tell me. I mean, I'll do the call for expression of interest later. We've started with the research one. We're going to do it.
So, Paloma, currently you have the call for expression of interest on the working group research,
yes.
right?
So
that's ongoing.
Yeah, that's ongoing. Those who are interested, please respond.
The deadline is what?
By the 8th of November.
8th of November.
Yes.
So try to answer before 8th of November.
We can do another one next year.
Okay, yes, because we have the council on the 10th of November and we would like to appoint the members of that working group.
Okay. We'd like to have a first batch at least.
Then your second call for expression of interest will be
on the Advocacy Standing Committee, for sure. I think that we should do earlier rather than later, meaning January, to get that important committee in place. And I think it will be ongoing, and we'll add people as they show interest. And then we'll move on to
And if I may, the same for this advocacy committee. It can be either you, as the representative of your patient groups to RDI, or it can be someone else that in your organization is more in charge of advocacy among the volunteers or the staff.
Or the staff.
It's really up to you to decide who you want to appoint on behalf of your group. So there is no restriction, obviously.
No, anyone in your organization, volunteer or staff, could contribute and carry the voice of your organization group. Then I think we're going to start, we're going to do a call of expressions of interest for the work group on state of the art, because we would like to start with a pilot program.
But that's an easy one, because we already know.
We have the 5 countries, so those are the 5 that will be.
That's more directive, I would say.
Yes, but whoever else wants to join is welcome.
It's assigned volunteer.
And then there's a work group on the UN system, so on expertise and strategy on the work that we want to take with nations. If
I may take the opportunity of this webinar to ask you on UN, WHO, International Fund, World Bank, whatever. If you have people in your group who have that experience because they have been working there
already,
that would be fantastic. We don't need to have 20 people, but if we can have 5, 6, 7 people who are experts of that area to guide us, then we can have a much better ballistic and a stronger impact.
Lots of compliments coming through, which is nice.
So
very nice.
And a comment there that enlarging the membership to up to 70 is ambitious but could work. Good to have that feedback.
Yeah. Okay, great. So next step is that Paloma will do some adjustment on this action plan based on your comments, which is absolutely...
Yes, and you can follow up by email.
Fantastic.
Absolutely. We still have a couple comments. Luciana from Argentina, we see very important to coordinate the actions of NGOs to manage and support in each country with local UN representatives. Absolutely, we do need that. And for the launch of the committee, we had the help actually of Argentina, so thank you for that, and Mexico. So yeah, it's a two-way street.
You're right, Luciana. So maybe what we can put specifically on the action plan, because we're doing it, but it's not visible. So maybe we could make it also more robust by putting in the action plan that we will make the link between the members of RDI, encouraging members of RDI to reach out to their UN representative locally.
Yes.
And at the same time, coordinate with the action that we're doing of contacting the representative of your country in New York at the UN. That's because that we have started already with about 20 or 25 countries. So, so making that link between the three would be good. And then in the future, we can do it in Geneva, but that's too much for the moment.
Yes.
but the following
But
year.
I want to
Yeah.
thank Argentina and Mexico and others who have actually given us
Super.
a lot of information, valuable information, in order to feed into the UN committee.
And Mark, hi Mark from World Federation of Haemophilia. I believe,
Hemophilia, yeah.
We have an official relationship with the WHO, but I'm not sure it makes us experts.
Yes, you are experts on in fact, the plan, Mark, is to have you yourself or someone from the Hemophilia Federation into the working group UNs for sure. Yeah.
Yes. Please. Your expertise is valuable.
Yes, at least your experience, if it's not expertise. But
Yes.
I'm not sure we are experts of anything in all
but
of
your
that.
journey to obtain that official relationship is
and to have an impact in terms of. And as you know, we're working with YAPO also, who has had some impact on WHO, at least for hepatitis, and few others. But and so we want to build on their experience.
From EAT. Okay. EAT, as a federation of support groups for patients with esophageal atresia, has got Australia as a member. Okay. Yes, this is an international federation.
Okay.
Mainly European, but they also have some members outside of Europe.
Okay.
And happy to participate in that working group.
Thank you, Mark.
In writing, Mark.
Yeah.
We're recruiting already.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
And Anke as well. Wonderful.
Oh, super. Thank you. It's coming. Yeah. Me too. Yeah, thank you, Nicola.
Could I make one last request, please? Could you just chat us, or those of you that have written your association already, we know, but anyone else that we don't have your association name, could you please just chat it to us in the chat box there? That would be really useful for us, so we can do it record.
And again, in the coming days, when you receive the new the revised version, if you have any
more comments,
any idea, any comment, still welcome until we adopt it on the 10th. And even after, I mean, okay, we adopt an action plan, but an action plan is alive. So any great idea is always welcome at any point. Okay, so Paloma can answer to Leven on that.
I will send it to you. Yeah, I will send it to you, and I can resend to everyone, of course.
The call for expression of interest, are they available on the website of RDI?
Not yet, no. No.
Could we do that?
Yes,
maybe?
For the research one, I can put it right away.
Okay. Yeah.
The other ones we said we'll sequence them, not to overwhelm.
No, but the one of research.
Absolutely.
We could put it? Okay.
Yes.
So let's do that. So Paloma will
website.
send it to you, Leven, but systematically now with the call for expression of interest, we'll put them on the website so that if you search for it, you find it, and also on Reconnect.
Yes.
And in Reconnect.
It's not now, but it will.
Okay, it will. Okay,
yes.
Paloma, take care of that.
Yes,
super.
I can do that right away, and it's easier for everyone.
Okay.
And then Nicola is saying that she has links in India, Singapore, Ukraine, and Japan.
Great.
Great. Join Rare Diseases International as a member.
Okay. And Diana, if you can send the information on the research group also.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah, okay, for Diana and Leven.
Yes.
Okay.
And Diana Vitali.
And Diana Vitali also.
And Olivier. Yes.
Oh, Black Swan Foundation in Research. I'm not surprised, Olivier.
He knows
sure, that's the starting point. So, sure, absolutely, definitely.
He knows about that.
Yeah.
And she's saying what
everyone's sending through their names.
Their names, great.
Okay,
Please
great.
do
Thank
that.
you.
It's very important for us to know what your organization is.
Okay, fantastic.
Thank you for coming. We've taken 1 hour of your time. It's perfect timing.
Yep. Thank you. I'd like to thank Eva for support, and Jean-Marc also, who you don't see, is behind the screen.
Yes.
Thank you, Jean-Marc. So we'll send around the recording of the webinar and all the materials.
Yeah, all that will be available on the website as well.
And thank you, Paloma, for everything and for preparing this webinar and action plan. And we'll share all your comments also, particularly with the Council of RDI when we meet later in November. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon.
Have a good day.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Paloma, again.
Bye. Thanks, Yann.